Alright, cool. So I think I can start from what I get out of that. Alright, I'm Oddbod, this is Celeste any %, let's just get into it. So Celeste is a pretty new platformer. I think it came out like a month ago, maybe. 2D platformer, you know, most mechanics are as you'd expect. I can jump. I don't have an air jump actually. But, you know, the longer I hold down the jump button, the higher I jump, as you'd expect. And the reason I jump over and over here is because you actually get accelerated a bit when you jump, but you won't really see that outside of the prologue here. Now, this is where you basically get the main mechanic, which is the dash. So right there, you see me dash. So normally I have red hair, and whenever I have blue hair, that means I don't have a dash anymore. I can dash once in the air, pretty much. And there's a few techniques that you can do with a dash, which I'm going to explain, you know, once we get into the first level here. Basically, when you dash, you can jump and like take over the dash momentum into the air. So you're gonna see me do that actually right here already. So that was what we call a dash cancel, where once again I take over the dash momentum into a jump, and that's faster, and we use it a lot. There's also a thing called the hyper dash, which is pretty much the same thing, but I hold down during it and I gain way more distance, but a little bit less height. So those are like the two things you see me do over and over again. I can also do, when I dash vertically up, like that, I can take over my dash momentum with wall jump. So we call that a hyper wall jump or something like that, I don't know. The terminology isn't quite set yet, but, you know, doesn't really matter either. There's a cool skip here. You're supposed to go on the right, but you can just go up there and grab the thing. Also, one thing I didn't explain, I guess, is you can also grab onto walls. And you can climb them up, and that costs stamina, and your stamina refills whenever you either hit like one of these yellow crystals over here, which refill your dash and your stamina, or when you hit the ground. So once you run out of stamina, you can't climb walls anymore. So that's where you saw me blink red there a second ago. So when I blink red, I don't have stamina anymore. Alright, and that's already the first level. There was like little room to explain all of the mechanics, but you know, the first level should be pretty self-explanatory, so it's not too bad. So what this game is about, basically, you climb a mountain called Celeste, and yeah, that's I mean that's pretty much the story. That's not too much to it. I guess I go into a bit more detail, like upcoming here in the cutscene. Basically, there's this, you know, bad part of yours which keeps telling you to, you know, you can't do it, you can't climb up the mountain, all that kind of stuff. And oh shoot, I missed a skip here. So right there you saw me do a hyper dash, and if I jump late I can actually regain my dash and still do the hyper dash. So that's what I did there. Oh my god, I retried on accident. So there you saw, like in the mirror, you saw the like a purple version of me, or rather the character being called Madeline. And that is like the, you know, what is it called again? The part of yours or something, I think it's called in the game. But pretty much it's just, you know, an evil version of you. And we're gonna see it a bit more throughout the run. So right here, they actually start chasing me. And they basically take the same path as I take, and just chase me down pretty much. So routing in these kind of levels is a bit weird, because, you know, you have to pay attention to, you know, the battle and following you. Also, the mechanic I didn't explain is these space blocks here. This game just goes too quick. I don't have enough time to explain everything, but yeah, these space blocks, you kind of, I think you already get the gist of it. When I dash like into them, they preserve my dash. And I can, you know, I can jump after I go out of them, and if I hit a wall during, you know, when I come out of a, oh, I forgot to grab the wall there. But yeah, when I hit a wall when I come out of these space blocks, I die. Also, one thing I didn't explain either, but it's also pretty self-explanatory, is that your dash is 8-directional, so... Oh, shoot. I messed something up there. This is a bad death because this room is really long, but I kinda deserved it. So yeah, you can go up, down, left, right, and all the diagonals. Now there's a cutscene here where we're just gonna skip, where, you know, we skip every cutscene actually, but it basically says that was just a dream or whatever. I don't remember too much of the lore actually, but I think that's the gist of it. Oh, also, you keep seeing me like dash into the ground in the air here, so that's basically the same as a hyper dash, but from the air. So I'll use that a lot too, where I just, you know, I'm already in the air and I just do a diagonal dash into the ground. And do a hyper dash from there. Alright, so now on to the third chapter, and this is where the chapters get way longer. So the first two chapters are like 1.5 to 2 minutes each, and now this is gonna take like, you know, 6 minutes or so. Depends on how good I do. Or how well I do, rather. So when you screen transition, actually you regain your dash, so right there you saw me like dash cancel into the screen transition, and then I had my dash once it was you know, in the second screen again. So that way you can skip a little bit of platforming there, where you would have to go to the right, but you know, using that trick, you can just not do that. So here's a pretty tight cycle, I hope I get it. Alright, I got it. Sweet. And now I get a key here to open this door. The one cool thing to note about keys is they actually, like, once you get them, you got them. So you don't like have to carry them through any like save point or anything. So later on you'll see me actually, you know, when I grab keys, I usually restart after getting the keys because, you know, you preserve them through death. So it's most of the time it's actually faster to just retry instead of going back. I didn't have my dash there after that hyper dash. Just what went wrong there, and I don't remember the death cycles for any of these rooms because I usually don't die here. It's a bit unfortunate. Right, here's a cool trick where you can kind of go under all of that. And now here, I think, well, this isn't the first instance of key coins, but I guess it's a good time to explain it. So these key coins, basically, you have to collect all of them in a room, and like does something with these key coin blocks. I had to wait a cycle here. And now the story for this chapter is we find this ghost guy there called Mr. Oshiro. And basically this, you know, he's the owner of this hotel, and it gotten a bit out of hand, as you see. It's all kind of cluttered. So we're gonna help him clean up his hotel. So there's 3 switches here we have to hit in this section. Each of them cleans out like one of the elements, either the chests or the books or the like towels or whatever it is. So the order we do them in is basically just Oshiro has fixed spawn points after each of the switches. So the reason why we do it in this order, we could do any of the, you know, any order between the 3. But oh my god. I'm trying to get a trick here, a really precise jump, but I'm having a hard time. What's happening? Hello? Okay, there you go. So yeah, that shouldn't take that long. I probably didn't save time there, but usually you'd hit that you know, precise wall jump there and just skip having to do the platforming on the left side there. But pretty much as you see here, I come out of the section and Oshiro is like right next to me. So this is the reason why we do it in this order, is just because the spawn points of him are like really convenient compared to, you know, the exiting points of each of the you know, sections, I suppose. So this room looks kind of scary. It's a really fast cycle we can do here by hyper dashing into it. Another thing to note is that actually, because so each time you hit a switch, it removes, you know, the blocks of that particular switch. So right there we removed the whole chest, and the way, like, in the order you do the switches in, it actually changes some of the platforming. Because that rumor was in there, there would have actually been like a few chests to stand on to make the platforming easier. Because I already cleaned out the chests, it's not there. And now here we meet Theo for the first time. Well, we could meet him earlier, but you know, we see him here for the first time because I skipped seeing him in the first chapter. He's gonna be like, you know, one of the main characters in this game, story-wise. Oh, I forgot to grab a ledge there. That's fine. Alright, so that's all 3 switches, and now we can grab the key that you might have seen in the hub room, pretty much. There was a key in the middle that we need to get. So we can finally get that now that we have everything cleared out. Oh my god, this movement is a bit sloppy, but it's okay. That's a blunder. Alright, that was a bit sloppy movement. But at least I didn't die. So once again, there's a really cool hyper wall jump there. Just skip having to go on one of those platforms. I missed my diagonal input there. Alright, so in the upcoming room I try to get a really cool trick to get like through it really quick. So I can do 4 timed hyper dashes here, which are kind of precise to get through this real quick. I would try it a few times just because it looks cool. Alright, that was almost it. I fell off. Oh my god, okay, well this is getting ridiculous. Alright, I got it. So this is where, you know, for the first time you see me retry after key. So there's the section like at the top of that screen where you could go back to this, you know, to this room again. But it's faster to just die than going back that section. And now here's a cutscene where basically, you know, the bad side of us shows up again and it says like really bad stuff about Mr. Oshiro, so he gets really mad and now he, you know, he's so mad at us that he chases us throughout the section. Oh, I messed up there. So this is a really difficult section because, well, first and foremost the platforming is rather difficult, and then on top of that you also have to like, you know, care about Mr. Oshiro kind of chasing after you. So there's a, you know, a bunch of like really tight cycles to get. Alright. That room can be a bit scary. Oh my god, I didn't grab the wall there and such as wall jumps. Alright, there's a decent death cycle for this, I'll just take that one. So right here you can bounce on the set to actually like stun him for a while. Now in the upcoming room I'm actually gonna take a intentional death here, because the, you know, the cycles are different of both these like fuzzy things going around and also Oshiro. Depending on if you enter the screen or if you know, died in the screen. And the death cycle here is just way more convenient, I guess, than the entry cycle. So it might, you know, it's not technically faster, but it's definitely more consistent to just retry there to reset the cycle, so you can get an easier section there. Especially since that room is really long, so if you die at the end, that is just really unfortunate. Alright, and now Golden Ridge is... either love this level or you hate it. There's one thing in particular which I keep getting trolled at, which we'll see at the end of it, but basically there's a win in this level like that, and you know, it works as you'd expect. It pushes you backwards or forwards depending on from where the wind comes from. There's also these bubbles. Basically they hold you in for a while and refill your dash, and you can also, you know, they have the same mechanic as your dash, so just a directional dash. And you can also release them early by inputting a dash, so that's what I did there the entire time. Just to show off, like, this is what it looks like if I wouldn't press dash. It takes way longer, and now this somehow press dash to, you know, make it go way quicker. Now there's a really cool trick here where I can do a dash cancel like that while still maintaining my my dash, and also go at the, you know, getting the maximum height from that cloud. Just skip 2 clouds there. The way the cloud works is, you know, they kind of bounce up and downwards. It's kind of like a spring. And these blocks, by the way, they move once you touch them. And on some of them, like on this one, there's like, you know, you see this like, I guess, Priter corner, where if you grab onto that corner, or in this case stand on the corner, you can actually, or not corner, I mean edge actually. But yeah, if you stand on those or grab onto those, you can like kind of direct the block in some ways. Now there's a really cool trick here. Usually you would go up above that thing, but with a really good hyper dash, you can skip all of that. And here's also, you can skip going through quite a bit of platforming here by doing 2 quick wave dashes. And here's the same trick again, where you do a dash cancel while maintaining your dash, and also, you know, using the momentum from the cloud. Those are kind of tight. Alright, so on the upcoming screen there's a cycle I can skip it. I'm gonna try it just because it looks cool. Or I might get it first try. Oh, that is really tight. So basically you would have usually to wait their cycle and like use these, you know, the bubbles to maneuver through that room way slower. But if you do movement similar to what I did there, you can actually skip the cycle, and it's just as tight as it looks. Like I kind of, you know, did a corner jump off there where it looked like I should die to the spikes, but wall jumps are programmed like really lenient in this game, so you can, you know, it's kind of the same trick I did in that one part in 3rd chapter where I fucked up that one corner jump all the time. It's the same trick basically, where you can get really close to the spikes and jump off the wall that the spikes are positioned on if you time it right and if they are at a corner, but it's really tight. And this is the mechanic I mentioned that I don't like. These snowballs can really mess you up. They're not random, they basically, you know, they spawn depending on where you are, but let me tell you, they feel random sometimes, and they can really mess you up. Okay. Now this is the last screen of chapter 4. Boom. That was a decent chapter 4. E35. Oh, I haven't explained the timers, by the way. In the top left corner, you'll see a time. Like, do you see 2 timers? We actually use in-game time to time this game. So the big timer is the file timer, which is basically, you know, the entire run timer. So that's the one we'll use to, you know, time the run, and then the other one is for individual chapters. So right there we meet Theo again, and once again Theo is one of the main characters in the game and the plot, and we'll see him here quite a bit in this level in particular, where we have to free him later on. These red bubbles work the same as the blue bubbles, but they, you know, they persist, I guess. And for this section right there, I was supposed to get a red bubble to go through the like really tight spike section, but with the time wave dash I can skip that. Just like a 10-second time save. So yeah, and this is where I mentioned over here we will skip a cutscene. Once again, we'll skip all the cutscenes, but basically you would see Theo in the mirror there, and he's kind of trapped in the mirror temple over here. So the entirety of this chapter we're gonna basically try to free him. There's these blocks you maybe already saw. One of them is down there in the bottom, and you'll also see one on the upcoming screen here. Basically you move along these tracks really fast whenever you dash, and then they reset slowly afterwards. There's a few cool tricks we can do with them, and basically you can carry over the momentum from them too. You're supposed to have a key for this section, but there's actually a dev intended skip over here where you can skip that key, which is used for one of the secrets in the game, but like you have to use that skip to get one of the secrets, but we would just use it because it's faster. Oh, I missed a diagonal there. Oh, one thing to note is I can actually... Oh, what? That was weird. I can dash out of these red bubbles too. So at any point, you know, during the... when I fly in the red bubble, I can also dash out of it if I want to. Because they refill my dash just as the blue bubbles would. And now over here is a, you know, kind of cutscene I guess, but it's actually gameplay where I'll play as one of these Seeker enemies, you'll see in a second. And it's basically the game explaining to you how these work. So the thing I'm playing here is going to be an enemy soon, and you know, it can get dashed through these red blocks as you see here. There's these barrier things, you know, the sparkly thing up there, where they can't dash through. And we're going to see them quite a lot in the rest of the chapter. So this is a bit of an annoying section. We see, oh, bad selfie again, and there's 4 cutscenes in a row we have to skip here. it's a bit stupid. So that's the 4 cutscenes right there. And now this is where you really get to see these, you know, the blocks here in action actually. So there you saw me actually preserve the momentum from it, even though it didn't do really anything. And now this is where you start seeing the secret enemies all over the place, and they can be really annoying. I hope they play nice today. They can collect key coins for you, as you just saw. One of them collected a coin for me, so I used a specific setup to, you know, trick it into... that was my bad. Messed something up. But yeah, you can trick them into collecting coins for you, which is really cool. They're still annoying though. That was not supposed to be a hyper. Alright. So here again, I use a setup to make them collect the coin for me. This is a bit sloppy. This room is hella long, so I just hope I don't die to this guy at the end. Oh my god, he's after me. And there's another cutscene here. So in the upcoming section here, it's basically kind of a free roam section where you're supposed to collect 2 keys. However, with a really cool trick that I'm going to explain in a while, you can skip all of that. So basically when I do a hyper dash, is once again what I do is I do a dash and then I jump. But I can also turn it around, so I dash to the right there and then do a, I didn't do a hyper dash, but a normal dash cancel to the left, and I can, you know, usually you're supposed to get 2 keys you saw there, free up a bunch of key blocks that you would usually prevent you from, you know, going with a red bubble through that section, and then once you freed up those blocks, you can use the red bubble to go through that section. But once again, with that really cool reverse dash cancel there, I can just skip all of that. So that's a really big time save. Now over here, you actually have this guy have you destroy this block for you to collect the key coin. And now this is the final section of the chapter where basically Theo is trapped in this crystal and we have to carry him around. We have to carry him to the end of each of these screens, because only he can open up these gold doors. So the gold doors only open up if you have Theo with you, or they're close to him pretty much. You can also throw him at switches like this, which is kind of cool. Nice, I got the trick there. So you can trick that guy in a specific pattern. So you can bounce off his head and then throw Theo at the switch, and that's just fast, pretty much. Usually you would have to like dash up there and, you know, dash to the switch yourself to destroy it, but oh, that's a stupid mistake. Alright, that was a bit sloppy. So right here, hopefully I get a really cool trick. I almost got it. So you saw me kind of do, you know, thing I intended to do. So I can stack up the momentum from the dash blocks here, and on top of that, you know, I can stack it with a dash cancel or hyper dash momentum. So I went like super fast there because, you know, it added up both these momentums. Usually I would also like to grab Theo before I lift off, but I didn't grab Theo, so I had to go back for him. So I kind of got the cool part of the trick, but didn't quite get it completely. What is going on? I'm soft lock. Alright, I haven't seen that one before. That's the first time. Oh my god, okay, I'm just gonna retry. I was soft locked there, I've never seen that before. And now this is the final stretch of the chapter, where to 3 Theo, for some reason, I have to throw him at this big eyeball. Don't ask me why either, but apparently that frees him. And the thing keeps pushing me back. Alright. So now reflection. Yeah, this is the only chapter that doesn't have strawberries, which are basically collectible items. You don't see them used at all, because they're not necessary for any percent. Or this chapter doesn't have any of them. Oh, I missed a feather there. So the way the feathers work is, once you collect them, they, you know, have a certain time where you can fly with them. Usually it's 8-directional, as, you know, pretty much all of the game is, but if you have an analog stick, you can actually, you know, control them full analog. I don't though, so I have to deal with them with a D-pad, which is just... Let me tell you, they don't control well with D-pad, but that's what we have to deal with. Oh, that was close. Alright, that's a cool skip here where these blocks basically, if you bump on them, they move in the direction you bump them from, and you would have to like bump that block all the way to the right. But with a hyper dash there, you can skip a bit of it. Oh. So in the upcoming room, we will see neutral wall jumps. So once again, you can only climb a wall for a certain amount until your stamina runs out. But you can actually do neutral wall jumps like this, where you jump off the wall while not holding any direction, and they give you less distance than a normal wall jump, so you can actually, you know, drift back to the wall again and then jump off of it again. And that way you can, you know, basically infinitely climb walls without using your stamina at all, because wall jumps don't cost stamina. Only, you know, everything related to grabbing a wall costs stamina, but I messed up there. So these bumper things over here, they bump you into direction, like into the opposite direction you came from, and they also refill your dash. There's actually different paths you can go in this section, where they meet up again over here. This is where the paths meet up again. But yeah, there's a bunch of like different ways you can go through that area. And I think there's different paths for this section again too. You would have to make that block go to the left, but you can just slide under it like that. It's kind of precise, but it's, you know, it's not really. Alright, so this room is a bit of a nightmare. I just hope I get through it. I jinxed myself. Alright. So here's a cutscene where you see the grandma from the beginning again, which I haven't really talked about because she's not important, but... You know, there you go. There you see her. And now you see this kind of purple-y stuff, which... you already saw in a bunch of cutscenes, but we skipped all of them, obviously. But pretty much it's just, it's evil. It's a TLDR. And it's related to, once again, the bad side of ourselves, or whatever, you know, we call her Badeline most of the time because the normal character is called Madeline. But anyway, spoiler, at the end of this section we will actually fight against said part of ourselves. So we're basically chasing her down here. And now here's a really cool demonstration of how the momentum works in this game. So I have the momentum from the moving block over here, and now I can also do a hyper dash off of it. So we'll stack the momentum from that on top of the hyper dash, and you just saw me just go so fast there because of it. Alright, and now this is the Badeline fight, where basically she shoots fireballs, or as you see in the next screen, she will also shoot lasers. And you have to just, you know, hit her a bunch of times per screen. There's no checkpoints in between the screens at all, you know, each screen is individual. And the amount of times you have to hit it per screen varies. Oh, also, your dash gets refilled when you... Oops, missed a diagonal there. Oh yeah, your dash gets refilled whenever you hit her. So that's pretty neat. Okay. I messed up and skipped there a bit. You can skip under the block with Hyper Dash, where you're supposed to go above it. Yeah, the laser hitbox is actually way smaller than you'd think. Like, it looks really fucking huge, but it's actually not. There's one room in particular where you will see that, but it's way later, so... You know, I'm kinda mentioning it a bit too early, but you'll see it later pretty much. Just how small the hitbox actually is compared to what it looks like. It's still a bit annoying though sometimes. I mean, you maybe already saw me, like, you know, survive a bunch of times where it looked like I might have died. Now here's a really tight cycle I can get. If I dash through here really quickly, I can hit her there before she lasers, but it's kind of tight. Alright, now that was the first phase, now the second phase. You're supposed to go over this, but with a hyper dash you can also go under it, so that's kind of precise there. It doesn't save a lot of time, maybe a second, but I mean a second is a second. That fireball also has a ridiculously tiny hitbox, if you saw that. Oh shoot. One thing I haven't actually mentioned so far, but you might have saw is that like momentum decays like slowly. So if I do a hyper dash, I can actually preserve the hyper dash momentum for like at least one more jump after the hyper dash. And that's the case for like every momentum, but you especially see me use it with hyper dashes. So I'm sure, like I haven't really explained that, but you know, probably saw me do it quite a bunch of times. And now in the next room you see the small hitbox the laser has in this room right here. So right here, I'll just barely go down and look at that. You can actually, that was still like, I didn't show it off perfectly, but it's still way smaller than you expect. And you basically just have to tap up there once in that feather section and you still get past it. The box is really tiny, and now we fought her, and now she... there's a cutscene that we skip where, you know, you basically friend up, talk it out, and she joins you, and now you have two dashes in the air because, I don't know. I guess she has one dash too and you have another one. I don't know, man. There's probably some plot to it, but you have two dashes is the thing you need to know though. So my hair now goes from pink to red to green. You know how many dashes I have? Because magic? Probably, yeah. Alright, now this is the final stretch of the 80% speedrun, the summit with... It's a really cool area. So the main theme basically is remixed. Like what you hear right now is the main Celeste theme, and it's remixed over and over depending on what section you are in on the summit. So there's one section for each chapter. So right now this is like the, you know, this is like the only thing that doesn't really have a... I guess this is kind of the reflection chapter, but not really, just from the looks of it. But yeah, after this there is a section on the summit for each chapter, where you see, you know, the main mechanics of each chapter reoccur. And there's a bunch of cool tricks you can do here with the two dashes. So right there you can skip a bunch of platforming, for instance, by just going under these things instead of on top of them. And now at the end of it, there's always these pink orbs where, or purple orbs rather, where you basically join your bad part. Oh well, she's not really bad now anymore, but you know. Alright, so that's the first chapter, and now, once again, music gets kind of remixed to where it sounds more like the first chapter. It's really cool. It's a really well done area. Alright, so over here you can actually skip that dash refill crystal on the left there. I guess now is a good point to explain these blocks again, because I haven't explained them in chapter 1 because I was busy explaining the rest of the game, but I mean you probably get the, you know, how they work by now. And when you step onto them or hold onto them, they start by going in a certain direction on a track. And here they are actually skipped by hyperdashing into that room and then jumping, I could preserve the hyperdash momentum through the room. And I could skip that one stopping light block, whatever they're called. Traffic light, I guess, is the better word. And now the chapter 2 section, where we get to see these blocks again, which is probably my favorite mechanic in this game, honestly. I'm kinda sad that chapter 2 is so short, because these blocks are hella cool. So over here, by doing diagonal dashes through that block, you can just skip like most of that one room there, where you're supposed to like go through each of these sections and, you know, take it really slow. But diagonal dashes just get rid of it. Here you can actually go under this thing where you're supposed to go over. Once again, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with the two dashes, which is even more freedom of movement in a game where you already have so much freedom of movement, especially compared to like, the game never really intends you, at least not for the main game, which is, you know, the A sites. It never intends you to do hyper dashes or dash cancels or hyper wall jumps and all that kind of jazz at all. So there's a bunch of cool strats that, you know, are not intended, or maybe intended, but at least not, you know, casually intended, I suppose, for each of the rooms. And having a second dash makes it even, you know, even better, where you have even more freedom. Now this is probably the worst section of the summit, because chapter 3 is also the worst chapter, so not really surprising. So a lot of these cycles here are really tight, and I have to set them up with the room before that. So in a lot of the rooms you see me hyper dash into the room in a really specific way to set up the cycle perfectly. So if I want to get fast cycles in this, I, you know, have to play really good pretty much. Oops, that was a bit of a mistake. Alright. So right here you can actually skip getting that key coin, because you can just go under. Now here you actually see me go into a secret area, right here, where this usually is the area with a strawberry, but as you saw, that is actually a shortcut to get you into this room, and it's just faster than doing the normal way. So you would also get into this room, but doing the shortcut there from the secret area is slightly faster. It's not really a big time save, it's just, you know, just a nice little thing. Maybe a second. So here once again we actually go into a secret area because it's faster. It also leads, like, a lot of the secret areas lead into the same rooms as you would go usually, because, you know, like the paths have to converge again. So we go into that secret area and actually get the strawberry because it's hard to dodge. Strawberries don't do anything pretty much, they're just collectibles, but we get it there because it's on the way. And once again, the secret area is just faster, so that's why we do it. Alright, so over here is one of these blocks again, and you're supposed to ride it up until the end of the room, but I actually tried to skip a huge section of this with a really precise hyper dash. Okay, I didn't get it there. I'll just try it a few more times just because it's cool looking. So once again, you have to ride this until the very end. But if I get this hyper dash correctly, I can skip a huge chunk of it. Yeah, right there. Alright. So now I have to do a hyper wall jump here and dash up. And that skips having to ride that block until the very end, which is like probably a 5-second time save. I have never timed it, but it's decently huge. It's also not as difficult as it looks, although, you know, you definitely need some practice in it. One of the coolest skips though, for sure. Once again, that was actually having your hyper dash momentum stacked with the momentum from the block. Which is why you go that fast and that far in the first place, is because you can, you know, preserve the momentum from the block into your hyper dash. Otherwise it wouldn't work. Alright, so now for chapter 5. This is a really cool section. So right here I will actually dash cancel into the next room, and that makes me skip that one block there. Now here I will wave dash onto the block to preserve the momentum, and I go so fast while keeping both my dashes. And there's a different, pretty much the same deal there, where I wave dashed off that one block. And now under this bubble you would usually go, like under the red bubble there, you would usually go and take a bubble all the way up to this section to get into, you know, through that corridor right here that I'm dashing through right now. You would usually need a red bubble, but doing a really specific set of spike jumps there, or corner jumps rather, you can go through there without it. And then you saw me reset after I get the key once again, because it's just faster than, you know, going the way back. Really precise trick over there. Oops. Alright, here's a cool death cycle though. Right there, I messed up the first way to do it, but I got a death cycle strat, so that's pretty cool. So right here you would have to hit these switches to open these gates, but you can dash under them. It's kind of precise, and it's not a big time save. Most people actually don't go for that. I usually try it once in a run, because once again it's really, like, well, it's not like really difficult. I'm fucked, I think. No, okay, I saved it. Alright. But yeah, it's God dang it, the karma. But yeah, you know, going under these gates is kind of difficult, and it doesn't really save that much time, so most people don't go for it, but I don't know, it's a cool trick. Alright, and now we get into the final section of the summit with, in my opinion, at least from the main game, being the A-sides, the coolest soundtrack in the game. Fucking love this sound. And some of the later game, like post-game content, I guess there's some cooler soundtracks, but at least for the main game, like the stuff that we see in the any % speedrun, this is my favorite song, for sure. It's really good music. I mean, this game has good music in general. But yeah, you see these flags over here, and they basically act as checkpoints for this. You don't actually have to grab them, like you can skip some of the checkpoints, depending on if you know, if you want to play it risky or not. Some of them you will see me skip because they're faster to, you know, well, because they take time to take, and it's usually in sections where I don't need them. But most of the time you have to land on the ground anyway, because you want to refill your dashes, so a good chunk of them we take out of, you know, convenience pretty much. Not convenience, more like circumstance. Like we have to land anyway, so you might as well just land where the checkpoint is. Like right there. Alright. So right here we can actually do a cool hyper wall jump like that, and of course I mess it up, why wouldn't I? The section before that actually sets up perfectly for the hyper wall jump, because usually the hyper wall jumps are kind of hard to align most of the time, because you have to, you know, dash up vertically, like perfectly straight, and have to be close to the wall. But the section there before that set it up perfectly. But I still messed up because I went too high. Now this, I just hope I don't die on this screen, because this is a really long save. Like the flag on this one is really far away. You can sometimes choke at the very end there. Like these spikes are kind of tight at the end there, but I didn't die, so everything's fine. Alright, I actually do a dash cancel here, which hardly saves time. You're supposed to dash through there normally, but it doesn't really matter. Like this is how you're supposed to do it. Oh, okay, whatever. I keep missing diagonals over here. Alright, so there's actually a save upcoming that we're gonna skip. So over here after this section on the right you see a checkpoint right there, but I'll just skip it like this. So once again, most of the checkpoints we grab is just because, you know, they're basically on the way. But if they are out of the way, we usually skip them, which that one is. Over here you actually not see me. Wait, no, okay, I'm stupid. This is not the one I was talking about. Okay, just pretend that didn't happen. Because over here, this is where the checkpoint I meant. Flag number 5, right, this one. I didn't get the flag, but even if I would die here, I would actually get set back to 5th flag, even though I never grabbed it. Because it's like considered a, you know, a own screen, because it was after a flying section. Alright. So flag number 3, if you can count, you'll figure out that we're almost done with the game. 2 more flags to go. Well, whatever. Every time I say anything about progress, I just die. It's beautiful. Right. Time is once I hit the flag on the summit, which is soon. So now this is the final flag, and it's easy. That's the final stretch, pretty much. And I wish I would have gotten a sub 40, but I wasn't even close. 41. That's still a decent time, considering it's a marathon. Time. So once again, we time in-game time, so my final time using in-game time is 41:05, which is decent. Not too bad. Would have been better, though. And now the credits play, and there's the epilogue here, where you actually get a different ending based on how many stories you collected. So you collected all the strawberries, you'd actually get like a huge cake, but well, it's any percent, so we grab one, and as you see, it's not the most stunning of cakes, to say the least. I just say good luck for the rest of the marathon. Explode. Thanks for having me on here.